Gino and Noah. I asked you guys to bring in a few different tips and tricks for the market. Let me, go with Noah first. What's one that you have, Noah?
Whenever I get overbought, that's when I look to change my trades. Of course, we trail stop losses, and most of you already know that. I like to leg into trades. Like if I own a stock position right now, I'd be looking to sell a covered call because if it neutralizes the trade a bit when it's overbought, or if I had long calls, for example, I might change them into spreads. When I look at the market and I go, how much higher can it go? And I'm asking myself, where's the top? I know it's time to start locking in profits. And, that's just my gauge. When I start asking, where's the top? I don't know where it is either. I'm guessing as much as everybody else. When you can use your technical analysis, you can use your targeting. But the reality of it is the top's going to be where the top's going to be. The market's going to determine that, not my forecasts. And so I start taking adjustments and I start trying to neutralize my bullish positions by selling other options against them.
Got it. So there was a lot there. So I heard trail your stops and neutralize bullish positions by selling options against them. So did I get those two? Did you mention those two?
That's it.
All right, okay, good. So there's two there, guys. Let's write them down as we go, and let's kind of get some examples of them. Bring this one, zoom me into about 2 months of data here, Noah, and I'll give people an example on how you could trail a stop loss. And let's assume we played the breakout on about 10:15. So take the chart back to where it shows the last candle is like 10. No, let's see here. Chop off the last, say, 10 candles or so, okay, so that we can't see the last 10 candles if you're following.
So you're going to march it forward from about 10:15.
Kind of like that, yeah. So, guys, here's where trailing stops come in. Let's say, and Noah, click it forward one day at a time. Let's do it one day at a time. Okay, boom. And one more day. Let's find a good candle. Okay, let's say we buy that right there. Okay, and you made an entry point on that date. Everybody type in the word buy in chat. So we bought this one here, and we put a stop loss at 227. Type in 227 stop. 227 stop. So Noah, walk us through this hypothetical as if we were in the DIA and we were playing this upward movement and it was very bullish. How would you trail the stop on a day-to-day basis? Let's take it one candle at a time.
So if that's the consolidation candle, your stop hasn't moved, and then it moves higher, I might not adjust right there. But if I got momentum like we just did there on like day 3, I would move my stop up from here. I'd cancel that order, and you can do that just by dragging it up with your mouse in Thinkorswim, but you'd move it up underneath that candlestick.
By the way, you got a really good pro tip there. Put it in your notes that consider moving it every day, but you don't have to move it every day, okay? You're going to consider moving it every day, but you don't have to move it every day. So when you have your original stop, let's have a conversation about that. Get Gino's take on this as well. Gino, when do you not move it? Because there are many days we don't. What's an example? And when do you always move it? Let's get both those. Gino, what about you?
It depends on what kind of trading are you doing? Are you doing long-term investing, like you're doing covered calls? You don't want to be stopped out. Maybe you're cost averaging and you want to build up your position. Maybe you got a spread on there and you don't need a stop because your position's sized to your risk. Like some of my accounts, Tim, let's say I have a risk of $1,000. I only have $1,000 in the trade. I really don't need a stop. What if you're already profitable enough where you've taken enough profit off this run? You've taken half your position. And that's the case I'm seeing a lot of people. They're like, hey, I've doubled my money on this run. What do I do? And one of the tricks I use on a case like this is I'll take half off the table and put a trailing stop on the rest. And that way I'm not using any of my money as risk. I'm using the market's money. Mm-hmm. So there's so many different situations and scenarios of where you'd put your stop and why.
Sure. And I'll say this for myself personally, I only use an automated trailing stop like Gino just mentioned if it's a swing trade and if I'm busy. Okay, and most days I'm busy. No, I like to be able to leave the computer and let the trades work. In Forex, I will automate some trail stops. But I'm a big believer. I have a mentor in London, Ali, and Ali talks about how a lot of the profits from trading are in the waiting. You can micromanage a trade at times and overthink it. Let's go ahead and move this one day at a time forward. Another green candle. Okay. So then boom, let's stop right there. Now guys, here, look at the chart and consider that, and we'll talk about the covered call component here in a moment here, Scott. Great question. Consider how we had the original at 227. Now we would be bumping it up here, and you'll notice the green candle on the top right. Now what price do you see that green candle next to? So make sure your eyes are looking at what I want you to look at. About 231, 232. Very good, Jasmine. So where would you put the stop loss if you had to instinctively have a stop? The low of the candle is just below 231. The gap point was 230. Paul says 229. Srini would go all the way to 231. Minaj would be right there in the middle, about 230 and a half. Okay, very good. Noah, what say you?
Whenever I get a gap, to me that's like the game of football. You just got a big yardage play. You don't want to give up those yards. You don't want to keep that money. So and I think gaps have a tendency to fill sometimes. That's why they call it a common gap when it fills. I would put it up right underneath the candlestick and make sure I locked in a lot of those gains because that's not an uncommon thing. Like Gino said, sell half your position and trail the stop loss. That would be phenomenal.
Beautiful. Let's go ahead and move this one all the way forward. Keep going day at a time. I like it. I'd probably go to about 229.90 on that last one, by the way, to answer the question I put out there.
So this is
love the candles.
I got stopped
Here you go,
out,
Noah.
And it kept going, and you're like, if I trailed it up underneath the gap, I probably got stopped out, and then you're like, oh, wish I hadn't gone so tight. So it depends on your trade management style. It comes back to, is it a swing trade or is it a position trade? Position trades, I use looser stops.